everybody, it's me, Comics G-Man again, here to talk about, what else? Comics. So I'm going to get back into the Superman series that I was talking about previously. So I did a little bit of a change of pace, which you'll see soon. But first, I'll go right to Superman number 11, and I'll read you what I wrote real quick on that. I gave that issue an 8, and I said, number 11 was a big issue, and I'm really happy we finally got away from the Western time travel bullshit. At first, this ish started off kind of slow and wordy in terms of, okay, I get it, let's get on with the story. The biggest The biggest turn-off that happened to me in this issue was the art style. Somehow, the art style got worse than before. It's so Disney-fied, so cartoony, and some of the characters so exaggerated where it looks like they are holding huge amounts of piss and are ready to blow up any second. Besides the garbage art style, the story here is what saved this issue for me. I mean, yeah, I don't know what they were trying to go for here, like just even looking at the overall page layout and everything. It looks so Disney-fied, and I remember my biggest criticism of this was Luthor's daughter had like this, in the previous issue, they drew her like she was kind of a punk kid, and now, like, out of nowhere, she's already working at the Superman Corporation that Superman owns now, in partnership with Luthor, and the way they drew her now, like, she's kind of dull, like, I don't know, they gave her a weird haircut where she's like buzzed on the left side a little bit, not totally, and she's got like the long medium-sized hair down to her like chin level, and her face looks kind of off, and she doesn't look that good. So when they show her on here, she doesn't even look like the same character that you were like interested in to see before. And even like, look at the panels here with the mother. Look at the way they're drawing the eyes. I really hate this. I mean, they got the small little black pupils and the big white eyes, and really, I think they got really lazy with this issue. I think it's awful. I'm looking through it here. Awful. I don't know what they were thinking with this issue. I mean, Lois doesn't even look. All the women here are drawn the same. And I know it's hard to draw like unique different women for men. Men have kind of a hard time doing this. It's easier for us to draw men because we can make the men rough and tumble and everything. And the women, we kind of have like a way of. I mean, if you're not trying, which this issue clearly is not trying, all of the women look the same. I mean, like, you got Mercy here, who's like, she's an Asian American woman, right? That's the character she is. But like, you look at these panels where she's next to Lois and Luthor's daughter, and their faces are all the same. It sucks. Anyway, I said here in the review, after you get through the bland talk of the first few pages, the action really starts when Lex's mother shows her true part in the play of Graf's plan. She's dressed in Lex's armor and pissed off for basically giving birth to the man who stole her corporation. She then goes out into Metropolis to spread an aerosolized form of kryptonite that can now also affect and kill humans. This gas was created by Lex during his youth when he was in his supposed good guy years that he's been telling us in the previous issues. This is how he ended up teaming up with Graft and Dr. Farm, because in the issue they showed that they had amassed a giant source of kryptonite, and this really turned on Lex Luthor to join them and not be a good guy anymore. And they, they had the lame thing, I think I remember they were like, well, for science, so fucking tired of that shit. So I was previously correct on how Lex was lying about his past being a full-fledged hero, I wrote. My only gripe with this concept is when he decided to create this weaponized version of kryptonite. Why did he do it? What's the motivation? Nowhere in the story does it tell you if Lex even knew of Superman yet at that time when he was young. So what would he have gained from this without any knowledge of his eternal foe Superman yet? Plenty of holes in the story with that, unless I missed something from not reading previous issues or the sagas, whatever. I said it was an overall good issue, but issue 12 is where things got a little better. But yeah, like, you had a couple of rants by the mother about Lex Luthor and how he ruined everything, ruined her life pretty much. It was okay. Really Disney-fied issue. Even the action scenes. I mean, they even drew Superman the same. He's got the same face as everybody else. Like, he's getting stabbed here by Lex Luthor, but it's not because he's going against him. But the point is, like, even just the image here, like, Superman is yelling, and he's got the big eyes with the small little tiny black pupils. It's so... Oh my god, what were they thinking with this issue? Alright, so then let's go on to issue number 12. I wrote here, I gave it an 8.5, just a little better than issue 11. I say, while the art in this is still not my taste, the armored designs of everyone in here really work well, and the action scenes are cut and direct. We get more information on Lex's past with Graft and Dr. Farm, but honestly, it still does not fill out any of the plot holes I pointed out from the previous issue. It was fun watching Lex get in his special armor and fight his mother over the skies of Metropolis. Clearly, Lex ends up saving the day with Superman's direction. The new villains are defeated, the plot's foiled, yada yada yada. Pretty simple stuff here, nothing too complex. Instead of going on to the next issue right away, I ended up going back to the Action Comics that I've missed to get more information on this backstory. Specifically after finishing this 12th issue, it ends with saying, the next epic, House of Brainiac Part 1, begins in Action Comics number 1064, and then you come back at issue number 13. So I'm going to go back to a collected trade paperback of the Action Comics to catch up. So I didn't just go back to like 1064. I decided to go back to where this saga is kind of around. So it's being written by Phillip Kennedy Johnson with the Action Comics, and that's set around where this Superman story is. So I went back to the Volume 1 Action Comics trade paperback. So I went all the way to Action Comics number 1051. And I kind of regret doing it, but it's something to talk about anyway. So here's what I wrote of Action Comics issue number 1051. So going back to Action Comics, kind of a weird start here, but not too bad. I would say, if anything, Metallo saved my interest and kept me reading on. The book says it is good for new readers, and this is somewhat true. However, where this fails is the comic does not really introduce the new characters or who is who. Yeah, it doesn't. It took me a bit to figure out who Iron's daughter was, which character was Superboy or Superman's son, John, which I put in parentheses here. What do we call Superman's son? Do we call him just Super Son? What do we call him? I just, like, I'm not being sarcastic, like, I'm serious, because I'm not really caught up with that. What do we call Superman's son? Because we called the clone of Superman Superboy, right? So what the hell do we call Superman's son? Do we just call him Super Son? So I'm just trying to find the book I was reading so I could keep up with what I'm talking about here. Just give me a second. But anyway, I say here, and we have these two kids that Superman adopted from the previous saga, which I'm not going back. This is the farthest I'm going back to keep up with this story now. So Superman adopted these two kids who they're called they're refugees from Warworld. I think their names are like Ortho and Orsol or something. Really weird names. Kind of hard for me to like the names. They don't really stick with me right away. And just a heads up, I don't even really like these characters until I read the second trade paperback, and that's only an anthology book, which we'll talk about later. But this book didn't do a good job of making me like these new characters too much, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, well, I go on a little bit of a rant here. I say one thing I notice in modern media and comics, you see the word refugees thrown around a lot. I wonder why. Besides that boring modern day political trite, you also have the other reused political modern day trite of a movement of people who hate aliens. Fake and gay, I said. In this comic, they call these protesters the Blue Earthers, and the Blue Earthers are protesting super aliens from taking over the world and hate Superman and ilk. This is one theme I wish to be eradicated for a while in comics. Who the fuck wants to see protesting in our comics? Too much of this is in comics, movies, all that crap. Like, yeah, I get it, people protest, but honestly, is it the majority of people? I've only been to one and found it to be a complete waste of time, and I think most people also feel this way. So this brings the question here. Who are the writers appeasing to with this repeated nonsense about protesting? Anyway, the story shows more of the super family. For me, I know who Supergirl is, Superboy, John, but I didn't know who Keenan was, or Keenan. Keenan? And I didn't realize the Metal Girl was Steel's daughter. At first, when I saw her in metal form, I wasn't even, who's this robot chick? What is this, Time Splitters now? I don't get this. But anyway, Kenan is literally called the Superman of China. I'm not even kidding you. The Superman of China. Like I said, I was out of the loop of comics for a while and found this to be the goofiest thing I've ever heard of. I mean, you same writers who removed the classic truth, justice, and the American way for your there is no nation or borders bullshit. You let the Chinese Superman keep his nation's name? Double standard much? Besides that, however, it is goofy because you never call our boy Superman, Superman of America. You just call him Superman. I don't care if you have a superpowered Chinese guy, but you could come up with a better name than the Superman of China. And the yin yang design as his logo, I mean, Jesus, you guys are fucking shallow. I guess you think everyone in China is some kind of Xiaolin Showdown cartoon character. I don't know. So in the story, you've got this building by Steelworks, or whatever, being erected, and Lex Luthor sends Metallo to blow it up during the celebration. The only connection I see so far to this story and the Superman comic I'm reading is that Lex Luthor is in jail in this too. So the super family is there as guards, or they're like bodyguards at this event apparently. And I won't lie, when you go to the panel where the super family is flying over the protesters, I'm trying to find it. They're flying over the protesters, but they're just guarding the place, looking out for any trouble. But the way it's drawn, I write here, the way it's drawn, the super family looks ominous. They look like villains lording over the peasant humans. It's not just because of the angle the artist chose in these panels, but I think the design choices and color of their costumes does the super family a total disservice. Superboy, John, and Kenan are mostly covered in black and red secondary. Kara is mostly red, black, and just has blue pants, I guess. I mean, trying to remember if they got any... Are they even wearing capes in this? No, look, they're not even wearing any capes in this. They're wearing like a leather jacket. And Kara's not wearing a cape. So they don't even look like a super family. I wrote here, I said the new twins have blue on one's chest and the other on the arms, but the rest is red and black. Why are they wearing jet black colors at all? This doesn't give me good guy vibes. This is more like, I don't know, The Boys or some kind of Garth Ennis wet dream. Yeah, seriously, I mean, what are we doing? Are we doing Garth Ennis shit now? So not a great start, but the only hook was Metallo showing up at the end, ready to fight Superman. And thank God Superman still looks like Superman. I mean, they didn't fuck up his design like they did to the Super Family. But besides all that, like, the art style in these action comics suck. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I gave this issue a 5. The art style sucks. The only time the art style looks good is when Metallo shows up and he's wrecking shit. That's about it. Alright, so let me just go to issue number 1052. I wrote here, first, in issue number 1052, the art is 100 times better than last issue. There's this subtle grit and heavy pounding violence that seeps through the panels, and I love that. We start right away with Superman and Metallo beating the shit out of each other. And Superman freezes and sends Metallo out to space to get a breather from him. After that, we get some boring stuff about the refugee kids living with the super family, and they do cute things and are supposed to be funny for you to like them, I guess. They're okay, nothing really to write home about. But yeah, like, the art is good. Starts off, I guess that's Superboy on the floor, knocked out from Metallo. Superman comes out of nowhere to knock him out. Got a nice splash page here where they're going at it with each other. The action here is really good, and the drawing is way better than the last one. The faces look good. Everything looks pretty good, and the dialogue... Oh, the other issue I had with the last issue was the overuse of the dialogue. The dialogue felt like redundant. It felt too much. The dialogue in this issue is just right. But yeah, the action scenes with Metallo looking really good. I really enjoyed that. So I also wrote here, so after Superman punched Metallo out into space, Metallo's kind of hanging out in space, just hanging there, literally. And as he's melting away a little bit, coming back to reality, he's talking to his sister. I mean, obviously it's not really a sister, it's some kind of projection from some bad guy that's got Metallo's sister in custody. That's why Metallo's doing all this bad shit. He wants to save his sister. Which I thought was... this is the only thing I kind of liked about this issue. I'm liking the Metallo arc so far. This is foreshadowed, obviously, when Clark, as he's talking about the war world refugees' use of the word unmade, and that Metallo's body... Well, what I'm trying to say is here, like, Metallo is looking different. He's not looking the same. He's, like, mutating. He's changing. And the way he's changing is, like, these refugee kids that were on Warworld, they would turn dead warriors and bring them back to life the same way that Metallo looks like right now. So it's related to the Warworld stuff. Not that interesting. I gave this issue a 6. And then again, I said here, Metallo kidnaps some Blue Earther protesters and turns them into robots to help him fight the super family. Nothing special here. Kind of going with the motion in this issue. Gave it a 6 out of 10. Action Comics number 1053. I wrote here, I gave it a 6.5. 5 points better. So incrementally the series is getting a little better at a time. You see the cover for this issue? Man, I would love a series of Superman in that kind of style. Still, the art in the issue itself is good, like number 2. Gritty, inky, all of that. There's less talky talk, which is good for me, and more action. And I have no problem with large amounts of dialogue if it's interesting and progresses the story. But the last couple issues just felt like exposition. We find out here that Lex has nothing to do with Metallo's new freakish body transformation. We see Metallo getting more freaky and resembling a Strogg from the Quake video games, which I like a lot. I say Metallo continues to steal the show of this story. My biggest gripe, though, with this issue number 1053 has to be with what the writers do with John, Superman's son. Clark and Lois are leaving the super family apartment at one point to go and do their thing, go to work or whatever. And as Clark is changing into his Daily Planet attire at super speed, John asks his father, "I've been thinking about the old house. When things calm down a little bit, would you want to play Coney Ball sometime?" Superman responds with, "Aw, pal, I would love that. I was afraid you'd gotten too big for it. Let's take a weekend at the farm soon. We can show Arthur and Oso how to play too." John is shown to be sad and clearly feels like he's being forgotten in place of the 2 refugee kids. Even one of the kids later on asked John, "Do you hate us?" And he says, "No, of course not." The panels go on and show John gets over this and realizes he shouldn't feel this way, but the writing gets real hokey, with John at least. I felt this to be really odd, off character. John here looks like he is close to 18 at least, so getting jealous over a couple of kids seemed like a cheap subplot, and frankly, we could have done without this. But yeah, man, like, I kind of thought it was kind of cringy to see him act like that about a couple of kids. I don't know how John is. I haven't read about him in a while. I'm going to find out probably some stuff about him. You'll see what I think about. Well, when I was reading this, that's how I felt. I didn't know anything about him. But yeah, like, these Action Comics are not anything to write home about so far. They're not even comparable to the Superman ones that I was reading. But yeah, like, even like every panel in this issue where Metallo is in it, like the art like goes up, like it looks great, like it's horrifying. Some body horror stuff here. It's looking really good. But yeah, that John Kent stuff really corny. So he's like, he ends up babysitting the two refugees. I gotta remember how to say their damn names. These super twins. How do you? Otho and Orsol. I don't know. Those names suck. They got to come up with better names. They are not coming up with good names here. So anyway, the one super twin, Otho, I think that's the boy. I think. They both, even the way they're drawn, I can't even tell which one's the girl, which one's the boy. They both have kind of similar designs. So the artist here isn't even doing a good job making. I mean, I know they're super twins, but I mean, I can't even tell which one's a boy or a girl. So anyway, oh look, issue number 1054 is a huge improvement. Look, I gave it a 10. So how do we go from 3 issues being total garbage to an issue being a 10? I don't know, what the hell? I didn't even explain myself that much. I say here, art improved, and I really have nothing bad to say here. This has some great violence and really shows off Metallo and Superman going at it again. We come to find out here who is manipulating Metallo, and it turns out to be Cyborg Superman. I personally don't know the history of this character, but he seems pretty badass. I think what started off really good with this issue for me, I could tell you right away, like the first page where the super twin, it looks like they're starting shit with the people, but they're not. Like, I really loved the drawing here. Like, now the super twin in this panel is drawn 10 times better than how they are drawn in the previous issues here. And I like this, like, the start. Looks really good. Turns out the twin went there to save the people from a guy who's one of the protesters that Metallo kidnapped and turned into another robot. So Superboy comes, finds out what's going on. Alright, look. Otho is the girl. And Osol is the guy, the boy. It's confusing. Look, even in these panels here. Alright, I think I can remember that. I mean, I've read all these comics and I'm still having trouble remembering this. I don't know why it's slipping my mind. So they're fighting these guys. All the people around them turn out to be Metallo bots. They're all being controlled by Metallo, so it's got this kind of cool Terminator shit going on. They're attacking it's not Superboy. I'm just gonna call him John because I don't Super Son, whatever. John. They're attacking John, Kent, and the super twins. Obviously, Clark figures this out, comes over to help him out. I'm just trying to add a little more because I just did a quick thing here. But yeah, like, I think what really sold me on this issue, like the art really looks good here. Some good panel work, some good action, good use of onomatopoeias. Got a nice flow to it. I could tell who's who in here. Very clean. So yeah, let's see what happens here. Alright, so Metallo defeats all of them. He takes the super twins. Yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, the story is not anything great. I just think I like the action in this one pretty much. So they defeat Metallo. They find out Metallo is trying to save his sister. And they see that he's not so bad, I guess. And they figure a way to team up and save his sister, who's being held by Cyborg Superman. That's cool. I guess kind of a 90s flashback. Even the way they showed Cyborg Superman kind of looks like something out of the 90s. But look, this is it's kind of the series is very schizophrenic. I mean, look, I even gave issue number 1055 a 5 again, so now we're back to garbage. The only interesting tidbit we get from issue number 1055 is that Metallo as a child murdered his abusive father, who was about to beat up his sister, his little sister Tracy. Nothing great happens though here. And then look at this, I give issue number 1056 a 4. I say, glad that this story is over and there's a new one to read next. This was subpar, mediocre little saga at best. I do not recommend reading these Action Comics. So yeah, that wasn't so great. So where did we go from here? Let me see where we went from there. I don't even want to go over those because you know what? They're not really worth it. So here's the crazy thing, right? So after you go from those issues, if you buy these books by the trade paperback versions instead of by the single issues, the Amazon and all the store, like wherever you go, Amazon, eBay, or if you look at how even DC describes this, look what I write here. I say, okay, so getting the negative out of the way, Action Comics Volume 2 trade paperback to hell and back. This trade paperback is misleading and does not have any of the main Action Comics issues, just short backstories. Not that there's anything wrong with little stories like these, but looking through Amazon and the DC website, this TPB is still described as containing full main issues. I guess at the time DC was trying to double dip. I don't know what they gained from lying about this. Maybe they didn't think people would buy it if they straight up said it was an anthologies book with stories set around the time of this current run. So yeah, it wasn't even a volume that contained all the issues. There weren't the main Action Comic issues. What the hell? I said the best part of this trade paperback was the Doomsday special, hands down. I deducted 5 points for the deception on DC's part, but kept 5 because I actually liked some of the lighthearted stories. The stories got me to like Ortho and Ursel, however you say their names, the Warworld Orphans. I also don't mind the Chinese Superman Keenan. He's kind of funny in this, especially that he's friends with a fat Chinese Batman. I liked how Connor is romantically involved with Megan, however you say her name, Martian Manhunter's niece, if I recall. I remember liking this relationship dynamic in the Young Justice series I watched a while back. Although I hope to God Connor gets rid of his dyed red hair. Please have mercy, that stays contained in this shit little anthology book. Please. Yeah, he looked really fucking stupid. I can't stand when these leftists, they put their fucking dumb styles and designs into these characters. It just looks stupid. So then I said, the worst of this was Superman's son, John Kent. Oh my god. Oh, this was horrible. This should have been the best. And I'm not saying the best because of what you're going to hear. I'm saying because Superman's son shouldn't be what they did here, okay? But it was fucking fake and gay. It was so faggy and cringy. I barely made it past 2 pages when his boyfriend, Jay, first showed his stupid face and disgusting punk hair. Pink hair. It was pink, not punk. I forgot they did this to John, and found myself disgusted, and some of my enthusiasm sucked away, pun intended. And no, I don't care if a character is gay, but frankly, why does it have to be Superman's son? Besides that point, the way it was done was so girly and fruity, it just doesn't work and comes off fake. Why do the guys have to act like girls? Aren't there guys who are like this, but they're I don't know, they're still manly? So, if it's going to be a Superman's son who has the potential strength of his father, acting like a fruitcake to fit the mainstream media accepted version of homosexuality just doesn't fit in this world here. Lastly, I stopped reading at the Night Terror issues because it was just bland, stupid horror bullshit I didn't want to waste my time on. So I finally got to the actual Action Comics after that. But lastly, the other thing from that I want to talk about more, I want to talk about that Doomsday special that was in there. I did write a review just for that. I thought it was really good. I said, now this was awesome. Doomsday really is legendary, and not even hell can quell his ridiculous power levels. Supergirl and Martian Manhunter make a deal with the devil to help defeat Doomsday in front of everyone in hell, so Lucifer doesn't lose his place as well. He gives Supergirl a fiendish warrior armor that was made to help the devil one day fight against God in heaven. Of course, Supergirl dumps the armor as soon as her objective in defeating Doomsday with Martian Manhunter works, because the goal was really just to keep Doomsday from escaping from hell and coming back to Earth. This, of course, is kicking down the can, because Doomsday will just keep getting stronger in hell and eventually be a bigger problem in the far future. Great art, great action. Yeah, that was such a good, I love the hell thing and their explanation for it, like that hell exists because our psyche created it. So it's a creation of our own minds. And I thought it was pretty cool that even the devil was afraid of Doomsday taking over. So I think Doomsday, technically, if you go by this comic logic, is going to become the end of everything. Like, Doomsday will be the end of the universe. So, like, they could keep kicking Doomsday down the proverbial road and keep, like, you know, hiding him, containing him in hell or whatever else they'll figure out next. But, like, there's going to be a day where not even Superman and the entire Super Family or anybody in the DC universe can stop Doomsday. So I really like that idea. So let's go back. Also before I got to Action Comics number 1057, when I finally got to the trade paperback that wasn't a deception, like volume number 2, when I got to, what did they even call that one? The one that has all the main issues? Well, anyway, it's the Revenge of the Demon, they call it. But anyway, it starts off before that main issue. It starts off with a special, a Batman Superman Authority special number 1 that was released in 2021. And it's strange because I still haven't figured out why they put that special in this trade paperback, because it doesn't seem to be really related to the story of because these Action Comics were made in 2023, and I'm not really sure what the connection is with this special. Maybe it'll show up as I do further reading. But this special, man, even if these Action Comics aren't that great, like, I am so happy I read through the shit, because these specials, like the Doomsday special was great, and the Batman and Superman Authority special was freaking awesome. So I wrote here, I said, for some reason, this special was an actual, I said all that already, I'll skip that. So I said, nonetheless, this special was pretty epic. I mean, a dark multiverse where the Al Ghuls actually take over everything and are all immortal through the Lazarus Pit. I mean, like, all of humanity now is immortal through the Al Ghuls, and they live in, like, this horrific kind of world, you know? I guess they ruled the whole universe in this time frame. So they find I don't even know how to say this, so apologies for ruining this word, but they find a Fugonaut, which is a multiverse guardian, and Batman was warned by this guardian of their coming. The dark multiverse Al Ghuls now want to conquer the universe of the Earth Zero inhabitants. I might have screwed that up. I think where the real Superman, Batman, where these real people are, I think this multiverse is called Earth Zero. I'm sorry if I messed that up. But it's like the original timeline. So I said the art style dramatically changes when the panels enter the dark multiverse and really creates this beautiful dynamic intensity that brings life to this special that doesn't happen very often. By the end, I guessed correctly in my mind that the Al Ghul succeeded taking over this dark multiverse because this time Bruce gave in to Ra's al Ghul. And I was right. It turns out here, Bruce is their god, and he's leading the way to take over the other universe. I don't know if they did any more with this concept. Maybe they did. As I keep going, I'll find out. But let me tell you, I love this so much. We need more wacky out of this world stuff like this, and less faggy John Kent and that piece of shit Jay Garbage. Thank you very much, DC, you freaks. But yeah, like the art style got like when they were in the regular universe and they were planning to go to the dark multiverse that was ruled by the Al Ghouls, the art style was normal. But when they actually entered the dark multiverse, it was like this kind of like cartoony, oblong, elongated style, and it was dark and broody and freakish, and it kind of made me think of Quake, the video game, because it's like, you know, when you play Quake, if you look into the lore a little bit or you use your imagination, it's like these like dark dimensions and like dimensional travel, and it's like it's more in depth than Doom, because Doom, well, besides the modern Doom games, the older Doom stuff before like Doom 2016, it was just simply like a space marine in Mars fighting the forces of hell that come from a portal. But in Quake, there's like this interdimensional travel between these weird planes and like Lovecraftian themes. So I was getting like that kind of feeling in Authority Special Number 1. This was some Lovecraftian stuff going on here. I liked it a lot. I want to see more of that. So on to so it looks like the last issue I read here was issue number 1057. I stopped there for now. So I said for issue number 1057, I said finally we're back at the main story here. Not that the fillers in all of the anthologies were terrible, but this was a strong start and a good little intro of Nora Stone and who she is. I have a feeling she is on a crusade against metahumans because, you know, a metahuman probably killed someone she loved or family, whatever. She has a reason, and this issue got me more curious, just like how I felt when they first revealed her at the end of issue number 1056. I like how she tells Clark at the end of their tense interview that this is my world too. Many of her counterpoints to Clark in the interview were actually logical, and she made a lot of sense. I'm sure she is going to be a full-on villain because, you know, the modern progressive narratives of hate speech and being xenophobic to refugees, all that nonsense. But I hope as the story goes on, Nora Stone is not some one-dimensional leftist narrative and has some more depth than what I'm expecting. Otherwise, a great-ish and a great start. Alright, so that's the end for now, because that's the most of what I read so far. I'll do more about this later on when I get to these issues. If you liked, like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.